They saw it. Not a word, not a shout, just a flicker, a twitch, a momentary fracture in your mask, the slight recoil, the shift in your expression, the minute tremble in your voice. And in that single instant, they won. Not because their argument had merit, not because they possessed superior strength or wisdom, but because you reacted. They found your switch. And like every tyrant that ever lived, once they find the switch, they build the cage around it. That moment was a transaction. Your autonomy for their leverage. Your command for their entertainment. And the cruelest part? You helped them. You walked the wire with your own emotions exposed. You broadcasted the coordinates of your insecurities to the world, believing it was bravery, believing it was moral, believing it was power. But offense isn't power. It's an emotional confession. A flare launched high into the sky that says, right here. This is where I can be broken. We are not living in the age of enlightenment. We are not living in the age of reason. We are living in the age of psychological warfare. The weapons are not bullets. They are phrases, tweets, headlines, accusations, misunderstandings fed into a frenzy. We live in a system that profits from your emotional reaction, that thrives on your outrage, that gains control through your need to feel injured. And make no mistake, they trained you to feel this way. They taught you to treat offense like virtue. They seduced you into believing your fragility made you holy. And they sold you lies wrapped in praise. Because a reactive population is not a free one. If something can offend you, it can control you. If it can control you, it owns you. And if it owns you, it doesn't need to argue with you. Why would it? It can steer you with a whisper, trigger you with a glance, defeat you with your own mind. The offended are not defending themselves. They are giving their enemies a roadmap to the throne room of their psyche. You think the enemy is the one shouting on the other side of the screen, but the real enemy is the one who knows you'll react on cue. The one behind the curtain, collecting your outrage like currency. They don't care if you win the argument. They care that you showed them where to poke next time. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were offended? Think hard. Did it strengthen you? Did it sharpen your vision? Or did it cause you to spiral? Did you stay rational, strategic, calculating? Or did your mind fog over with heat? Did you lead, or did you burn? Because here's the truth you don't want to admit. When you are offended, you are not thinking. You are not leading. You are not deciding. You are reacting. And reaction is the easiest thing to manipulate. The system doesn't want thinkers. It wants reactors. It doesn't want warriors. It wants weapons it can point. When you scream, they smile. When you post, they profit. When you erupt, they advance. You believe you're resisting, but you're marching right where they want you. There was a time when offense was personal, quiet, internal, a signal to look inward and ask, why does this cut so deep? But then came the shift. Society learned how to manufacture offense, how to turn feelings into movements, clicks into currency, pain into profit. Now offense is no longer a reaction. It's a business model. The more outraged you are, the more visibility you get. The more offended you become, the more influence you're handed. But it's a lie, a trap, a clever ruse. Because the more power you think you have in offense, the less actual power you possess. Why? Because true power doesn't shout. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't chase approval. It moves in silence and strikes with precision. The powerful don't react. They respond, if at all. And when they respond, it's It's surgical. Offense is predictable. It's pre-programmed behavior. It tells the enemy exactly what to expect. But silence, detachment, calm in the face of provocation, that is terror. That is chaos to the manipulator. Because they can't move someone who won't move. That is where your sovereignty begins. You were not born to be fragile. You were not designed to flinch. You were not crafted to shatter every time the world raised its voice. You were built to command, to calculate, to lead. And none of that can be done from the prison of offense. Because offense blinds you. It fogs your vision. It burns away your ability to lead, to build, to rise. And a man who cannot rise will always be ruled by those who can. So you must make a decision now, one that few have the discipline to make. Burn the part of yourself that flinches. Torch the parts of you that demand validation, seek sympathy, or beg for respect. Set fire to every emotional landmine that was installed in your youth, your culture, your belief system, and emerge as something new. Become unusable. Because a man who cannot be manipulated cannot be stopped. When you no longer react, they no longer have leverage. When you no longer flinch, they no longer have a map. When you no longer need to respond, you regain command. This is the iron law of this new war. He who holds his fire the longest controls the battlefield. The offended are being used, their energy redirected, their passion corralled, their power bled out for causes that don't serve them. But the detached, the calculated, the calm storm that never shows its center, they become impenetrable. And in a world that feeds on outrage, the man who cannot be moved is the new apex predator. You thought your anger protected you, but it exposed you. You thought your indignation elevated you, but it sold you. Offense is a beautiful lie. It looks like armor, but it leaks like a wound. And unless you cauterize it, you will be led by it, used by it, owned by it. There is no longer a war for land. There is no longer a war for oil. There is only a war for attention, reaction, emotion. And the first to detach wins. The first to remain silent gains power. The first to hold still while the world shakes becomes the new axis. So again, do you want power? Then shut the door, kill the noise, seal the breach, control yourself, and the world cannot touch you. In the end, it all comes down to a single truth. Either you will be triggered, or you will be sovereign. Either you will serve as the fuel for another man's machine, or you will build your own. Either you will be a pawn, endlessly reacting, or you will be a force, endlessly calculating. So which will it be? Will you keep dancing every time they pull the strings? Or will you rise as something new, something colder, sharper, wiser, unshakable? You must choose, because the next time they test you, the world will be watching. The ones who react will burn. The ones who watch will rule. Now rise and never flinch again. Lesson 1. Identify your emotional triggers. Theme. A map to your weakness is written in your reactions. Burn the map. Reclaim your power. Why this lesson matters. Before you can conquer the enemy, you must identify the cracks in your own armor. Most people think they are driven by values, by principles, by a noble code. But the truth is far darker. They're driven by wounds, old, unhealed emotional injuries. And those wounds have become invisible pressure points that the world can push at will. That's why someone's words can ruin your whole day. That's why a look, a post, a subtle dismissal can spiral you into anxiety or rage. You're not being hurt by others. You're being triggered by echoes from your past that you never silenced. If you don't hunt them down, someone else will. So this lesson is about locating the weaknesses in your system, the mental fault lines, the psychological red buttons, the places where you can still be controlled. This is not a comfortable process. It's a dissection of your emotional infrastructure, but it's the first step to becoming unshakable. Core principle: if something offends me, it owns me. If it owns me, I am not sovereign. The internal inventory. Start by asking yourself one brutal question: what offends me and why? Don't give yourself surface-level answers. Go beneath the emotion. Find the root. Think back on the last 5 times you were triggered. Deeply, emotionally, offended, angry, disrespected, not just irritated, wounded. What happened? Did someone ignore your idea? Did someone disagree with your beliefs? Did someone mock your appearance? Did someone question your identity, politics, religion, or intelligence? Now write each one down. This is your emotional vulnerability report. For each situation, answer these 3 questions. What exactly did I feel? What core belief or insecurity did this offend? Why do I still care what that person thinks? This is where things get real. Example: breakdown. Event: someone said my goals were unrealistic. Reaction: anger, defensiveness. Triggered belief: maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not enough. Why it hurts? Because deep down, I still need external validation for my dreams to feel real. Conclusion: the offense wasn't the words. It was the echo of your own self-doubt being amplified through someone else's voice. The awareness exercise. Do this for each emotional event that rattles you. Once you've completed 5 to 10 examples, step back and look at the pattern. You'll likely find most of your reactions tie back to one of these deep wounds: fear of insignificance, fear of rejection or abandonment, desire for approval or respect, unresolved childhood shame, identity insecurity, religion, race, politics, worth. These are the emotional tripwires that the system, society, media, manipulators lives to detonate. They don't need to destroy you. They just need you to destroy yourself. The warrior's code for emotional awareness. Adopt this code of inner mastery. I do not hide from my triggers. I hunt them. I do not defend my weakness. I expose it to light and cauterize it. I will not confuse offense with moral virtue. I will identify every string so I can burn the entire puppet mechanism. I will leave no reactive thought unchallenged. Because if you want to be free, you must first know what enslaves you. Daily practice. The trigger journal. Every night ask yourself, where was I emotionally triggered today? Who pulled the string? What part of me still believes them? What would the unshakable version of me do instead? Write the answers with brutal honesty. This is not for performance. This is for liberation. And remember, the point is not to become numb. It's to become clear, conscious, composed under fire. Because in a world where everyone is scanning you for weakness, the warrior who knows himself is the only one who cannot be moved. Affirmation. Mantra. Repeat daily. My emotions are mine to command. I will not react. I will not flinch. I will observe, understand, and rise above. Lesson 2. Practice emotional detachment. Theme. Reaction is slavery. Detachment is the first weapon of the free. Why this lesson matters. If lesson 1 was about identifying where the strings are tied, then this lesson is about cutting them. Quietly, ruthlessly, and with precision. You've spent your life being programmed to react to every insult, every headline, every opinion that doesn't align with your worldview. You were trained to feel injured, conditioned to take everything personally, and slowly, you became emotionally predictable and thus controllable. When they know what offends you, they know how to own you. But if you can remain composed when others erupt, if you can breathe when others choke, if you can choose silence when others scream, then you become dangerous in the most beautiful way possible. Because emotional detachment is not apathy. It is power. It is what separates prey from predator, pawn from player, noise from force. Core principle: if I can choose my response, I am free. If they choose it for me, I am owned. Understanding detachment, what it is and what it isn't. Let's be clear. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. It's the ability to feel the flame and not throw yourself into the fire. It's the discipline to step back from the trigger and ask, what would the most powerful version of me do right now? Detachment is not weakness. It's the ability to absorb chaos and still move with clarity. It's not becoming numb. It's becoming unbreakable. The power of the pause. Every time something provokes you, there's a window. A split-second moment between the trigger and the reaction. That window is your freedom. Most people never use it. They immediately give away their mind, with their words, with their outrage, with their body language. And that's the moment their sovereignty dies. But if you can pause, just for a breath, just for a blink, you reclaim your power. That pause is where clarity is born. It's where you see the trap before you step in it. It's where the weak erupt and the wise ascend. Action steps, training the detached mind. First, daily silence ritual. Spend 10 to 15 minutes every morning in complete silence. No phone, no music. Just sit. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Notice how your mind drifts. Train it to return. This is the gym for your focus, the foundation for detachment. Second trigger, anticipation drill. Think about your day ahead. Mentally walk through the places where someone might offend, challenge, or provoke you. Visualize yourself not reacting. Rehearse the power of your stillness. You're building muscle memory for restraint. 3. The 10-second rule in conflict. When provoked, pause for 10 seconds. Breathe. Observe your body's reaction. Ask, is this bait? If I speak, who wins? Respond only when you can do so with full control. You'll be stunned how often silence becomes your greatest strike. Psychological benefits of detachment. You become harder to read. You gain time to analyze, not just react. You remain calm in emotional environments, becoming the eye of the storm. People respect your restraint more than your retaliation. Most importantly, manipulators give up on you because you can't be moved. Warrior analogies, the blade and the flame. The untrained man is like a blade left in fire. It bends, it warps, it melts. But the trained warrior is forged through that fire, tempered, hardened, not because he avoids heat, but because he masters his response to it. You want to become like that blade, unshaken by insult, unscarred by chaos, a calm, silent instrument of will. Advanced drill, the still face. Challenge. Do this in front of a mirror. Recite words that normally trigger you. Use phrases that would insult your ego, beliefs, or identity. While speaking, keep your face perfectly neutral. No twitch, no eye shift, no facial flinch. This is emotional sniper training. Learn to wear stillness as your shield. Daily questions to reflect. What tried to provoke me today? Did I react or respond? What did I gain from my silence? Where can I pause longer tomorrow? Every day is a battleground, but your emotions are the territory. The goal is never to win every fight. The goal is to stop being pullable altogether. Mantra for the warrior of silence. I am the calm in the chaos. I do not flinch. I do not react. I calculate. I command. I remain unmoved. Lesson 3. Replace offense with analysis. Theme. Offense is the reaction of prey. Analysis is the weapon of kings. Why this lesson matters. To the average mind, offense feels like a righteous stand. To the disciplined mind, offense is a diagnostic tool, an alert that someone has accessed your programming. Here's the brutal truth. Reacting with outrage means you're running someone else's software. Offense isn't strength. It's a shortcut to control. Because when you're offended, you lose the ability to see, to interpret, to think tactically. You go blind in your emotions, lashing out while your enemies watch and adjust. And just like that, you're no longer a sovereign being. You're a puppet jerking on invisible strings. But there's another way, a higher path. It starts by turning every offense into a question, and every question into intelligence. This lesson is about converting insult into insight, and learning to see every provocation as a play, a trap, or a pattern meant to test your awareness. If you can do that, you gain the most lethal tool in the psychological battlefield: strategic detachment. Core principle. Offense is data. I don't react to it. I study it, log it, and weaponize it. The shift from reaction to observation. In war, the first to react is the first to fall. Why? Because reaction exposes position. It reveals your aim. It gives away your strategy before you even fire. But observation, it reveals theirs. Imagine walking into a room and someone mocks your appearance, your beliefs, or your goals. Most people explode. The strong analyze. They don't say, "How dare you?" They think, "Interesting." This is what provokes them to attack. This is their pattern. This is what they fear. You just turned insult into intelligence. And intelligence is the beginning of domination. The tactical mindset. Analyze the bait. Every time someone tries to offend you, consider this. Is this about me, or are they projecting their own weakness? What do they gain if I erupt? What do I gain if I stay quiet? What would a predator do? What would prey do? The tactical mind understands that offense is rarely about truth. It's about manipulation, control, power. And if you study it instead of absorbing it, you stay in the position of command. Action steps: train your inner strategist. First offense to intel drill. Anytime you feel offended, pause. Write down exactly what was said or done. Ask, what belief did this try to attack? Why do I care? Flip it. What does this reveal about the speaker or the system they serve? Now you're learning. Now you're growing. Second, run the simulation exercise. At the end of each day, replay any emotional moment. What was the trigger? What did you feel? What would a calm strategist have done? What bait did you bite? What bait did you ignore? Do this daily. You are building psychological muscle memory. 3. The predator's lens. Practice walking into public spaces or social media like a tactician, not a participant. Observe. Study reactions. Ask, who's baiting? Who's falling for it? You're no longer part of the noise. You are the one watching the board. Real-world examples of the analyzed mind. A politician insults you. It's a play for emotional allegiance. Don't react. Study who else is reacting and how their rage is being redirected. An online troll mocks your values. They're searching for your triggers. If you give none, they move on. If you flinch, they win. A friend criticizes your ambition. Are they protecting you or projecting their limitations? A true warrior sees the difference instantly. Rewire the pattern. Make offense a cue to rise. From now on, offense is not a command to explode. It is a cue to rise above and access a higher version of yourself. Every time you feel offended, imagine a fork in the road. Downward. React. Spiral. Give away your position. Upward. Pause. Observe. Gather data. Store the weapon. You choose which path to walk. Every insult is a test. Every reaction is a revelation. Every time you remain still, you level up. Mental framing. They're giving me the blueprint. Say this to yourself whenever you feel attacked. Thank you for showing me your game plan. I now know how you think, how you attack, and what you're trying to provoke. I will use this information. I will not give you my power. I will not flinch. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Warrior analogy. The unmoved sentinel. Imagine a warrior at the gate of an ancient fortress. People throw stones. They shout slurs. They try to provoke. But the sentinel doesn't move. He doesn't engage. He watches. Because he knows one truth. The louder the crowd gets, the closer he is to revealing the true enemy. You are that sentinel now. Do not abandon your post. Do not drop your weapon to shout at peasants. Daily reflection. Prompts. What insult or disagreement hit me today? Did I analyze or react? What insight did I gain from the event? If this happens again, how will I respond better? Mantra of strategic detachment. I am not offended. I am not rattled. I am watching. I am learning. I am sharpening my blade. Lesson 4. Strengthen the inner fortress. Theme. He who needs nothing from the outside cannot be shaken from within. Why this lesson matters. The modern world has trained you to outsource your self-worth. You're praised for being agreeable, rewarded for chasing validation, told you must be seen, approved of, and accepted to be worthy. So your identity becomes brittle, held together by the opinions of others, defined by applause, acceptance, and likes. And when that applause fades or turns into criticism, you crumble. That's not power. That's dependency dressed in performance. To become unshakable, you must become self-defined, untethered from external judgment, immovable regardless of praise or insult. A sovereign fortress, not a social puppet. This lesson is about building that fortress brick by brick, from the inside out. Core principle. If I require the world's approval to feel strong, the world owns the blueprint to my collapse. The foundation. Identity must be chosen, not given. Most people walk around wearing identities they didn't choose, a name they didn't pick, a culture they inherited, beliefs they never questioned, values they absorbed, not examined. These borrowed blueprints become prisons because they don't fit who you truly are. They just fit who you were told to be. And when someone attacks those inherited masks, you react. You get defensive. You feel violated. Because they aren't insulting your truth. They're exposing your attachment to things you don't actually control. But if you've taken time to define who you are, if you've chosen your values deliberately, you don't need approval. You don't need protection. You already are the foundation, the self-sovereignty framework. To build a fortress within, you must answer 3 critical questions. What do I value more than being liked? What parts of me are still begging to be seen, heard, or validated? What personal code do I live by when no one is watching? Until these are answered, your mind is a house with no walls. You'll be shaped by winds, trends, and noise. You'll react to every criticism. You'll chase every pat on the head. But once you have these anchors, you no longer bend to others. They bend around you. Action steps. Reforge the inner foundation. 1. Create your personal code of honor. This is your internal constitution. It's what you serve when emotions rise and storms hit. Take time to write what you believe, what you will and won't tolerate, what your principles are, non-negotiable truths you'll hold to under pressure. Examples. I never explain my value to those committed to misunderstanding it. I speak with purpose, or I remain silent. My mission is not popularity. It's power, precision, and peace. Keep this code with you. Review it when insulted or doubted. 2. Complete the validation detox. Go 1 full week without posting anything on social media for approval, seeking reassurance from others about your goals, arguing for your worth, value, or beliefs. Let them misunderstand you. Let them mock you. Let them doubt you. If you can hold your ground without defending it, you've built stone beneath your feet. 3. Create isolation space. Spend 1 day per week disconnected from digital noise. No social media, news, or external voices. Why? To hear yourself think, to reattune your compass, to remember that your value exists without being displayed. Ego versus essence. The identity split. What offends most people isn't their true self being attacked. It's their ego suit, the fragile costume they wear in public. You say you were offended because someone insulted your intelligence? No. They insulted your need to be seen as intelligent. You say they dismissed your ambition? No. They triggered your fear that your goals aren't good enough. Ego is a shield made of glass. Essence is a core made of stone. When you live from ego, you'll always react. When you live from essence, you'll watch with calm indifference. Fortress building questions to reflect on daily. What part of me sought validation today? When did I speak from ego instead of essence? What principle did I honor even when it was uncomfortable? What insult or opinion bounced off me because I knew it wasn't mine to carry? Ask these before bed. They'll expose what's weak and what's ready to be reforged. Visualize this, the fortress ritual. Every morning before you leave your home, imagine this. You are inside a fortress of your own creation. The walls are made of your chosen values. The gate opens for no flattery. The drawbridge lowers for no insult. You walk into the world not as a man seeking to prove himself, but as a force whose mere presence proves enough. That visualization, it trains your nervous system to expect and embody composure. Eventually, the mind obeys the imagery. Warrior analogy, the silent blade. A warrior with no armor must block every arrow. A warrior with inner armor, he doesn't flinch. The arrows bounce off. He doesn't need to react. He doesn't need to shout, because he is fortified before the battle ever begins. Be that warrior. Build your inner armor so solid that no word can pierce it. Daily affirmation. Mantra. I walk in alignment with my code. My value is not debated. It is declared in silence and proven in presence. I do not chase validation. I command respect by existing. Lesson 5. Become untriggerable, unusable, unstoppable. Theme. He who cannot be moved cannot be used, and he who cannot be used cannot be ruled. Why this lesson matters. Everything in the system is designed to move you, to shake you, to pull you emotionally in 1,000 directions. And when it can't pull you, it tries to provoke you, offend you, mislabel you, push you into reaction, so you expose yourself. Because once you react, you become readable. Once you respond emotionally, you become predictable. And once you're predictable, they can do whatever they want with you. They don't need to cage your body. They just need to steer your mind. This is the final stage of psychological warfare, not to destroy your life, but to own it, weaponize it, and use you to advance agendas you don't even see. But if you cut the wires, if you sever the strings, if you become emotionally invincible, you can no longer be programmed. You become unusable. You ascend beyond control. And when the world cannot move you, you become a force, a presence, a sovereign storm. Core principle: offense is the lever they pull. Detachment is the blade that cuts the lever clean off. Understanding what it means to be untriggerable. Being untriggerable doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you control what moves you. It means you've separated stimulus from identity, insult from insecurity, noise from truth. It means you've burned the weakness out of yourself with fire, time, and discipline, until no phrase, no rejection, no false accusation can access your nervous system. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to stop flinching. When nothing can provoke you to act against your will, you are no longer a person in the system. You become the one beyond it. The anatomy of control: how they use you. Control works in 3 steps. Trigger your emotions: insult, exclusion, fear, comparison. Redirect your reaction toward a target they've chosen. Exploit your energy to serve their goals. It could be rage that feeds the algorithm, identity outrage that builds political movements, insecurity that fuels consumer addiction, peer pressure that silences your voice. In all cases, your emotions are not just being triggered, they're being harvested. When you realize this, you stop feeding the system and start starving it. Becoming unusable: cut the strings. To be unusable means you cannot be baited. You cannot be provoked into self-sabotage. You do not seek approval from the very people trying to control you. You no longer believe that flinching is strength. It means the game no longer works on you. And when the game doesn't work on you, you're not a piece on the board anymore. You become the one flipping the table. Action steps: training the unshakable self. 1. Cold response conditioning. Every day, do one thing that makes your body uncomfortable. Cold shower, hard workout, fasting, silence, public discomfort. Why? Because if you can master your physical triggers, you begin to train your nervous system to not move when pressure hits. The body leads the mind into stillness. 2. Say nothing, react to nothing. Challenge. Go one full day. No defending your opinions, no reacting to rudeness, no emotional response to digital drama. Just observe. You'll feel the pull to say something, to clap back, to correct the record. That pull, that's the system. Every time you deny it, you sever a wire. 3. Practice the dead face. Stand in front of the mirror. Imagine someone saying the worst thing about you, calling you useless, attacking your beliefs, mocking your failure. Hold your face perfectly still. No eye twitch, no smirk, no frown. This is how you train your physical body to stop betraying your emotional posture. You must become unreadable to remain sovereign. Psychological reframing. Offense is proof of insecurity. From now on, every time someone tries to offend you, think, "You think I'll react?" That means you still think I'm weak. You still believe I need your approval to stand tall. You are wrong. This rewiring makes offense a trigger for power, not pain. They want you to take the bait. Don't just refuse. Smile at it. That smile is the most terrifying thing they'll see. The war of identity. You versus the system. They've built a system that rewards emotional fragility, but only because it's useful to them. The more offended you are, the more noise you make. The more predictable your triggers, the easier you are to steer. The more emotional your reactions, the more data they can mine. But when you stop being offended, they lose a soldier, they lose a resource, they lose a slave. And now, you start becoming the general. Become unstoppable, replacing emotion with mission. You don't need to respond to disrespect. You don't need to engage with nonsense. You don't need to justify your path. You have a mission. And the mission is too sacred to get detoured by petty provocations. Replace your emotional reflexes with your commitment to the mission. When insulted, ask, does this help me build my empire? Does this earn me peace, power, or freedom? If not, it is irrelevant. When the mission becomes your compass, you are no longer pulled by emotion. You move by strategy alone. Daily self-audit. Questions. Did anything move me emotionally today that shouldn't have? Where did I flinch out of habit? What emotional cue did I choose to ignore? What would the highest version of me have done instead? Ask, reflect, refine. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to become invincible. Final warrior. Analogy. The shadow that doesn't bleed. Imagine a warrior cloaked in silence, surrounded by chaos. They spit at him. They insult him. They accuse, lie, mock. But he walks forward, eyes locked, heart still, completely unmoved, because he knows they cannot use him. They cannot break him. He is not there to win arguments. He is there to end games. Be that shadow. Final mantra. I do not flinch. I do not react. I do not serve their scripts. I am no longer a piece. I am the hand that moves the board. To the warriors who've walked with us before, welcome back to the shadows. Your silence has echoed louder than their screams. Your discipline has carved a new path where the world only saw walls. And your continued presence is proof that this movement is not just content. It's a calling. To those who've stepped deeper, who've joined the private ranks, who've chosen to rise beyond the noise and stand as inner circle initiates of the GrimFace movement. Respect, honor, recognition. You didn't just consume the message. You became part of it. You chose the harder road. And soon, that road will lead somewhere very few ever go. Because something massive is coming. A new phase. A deeper layer. A force that will shake the foundation of every lie they taught you about what you're allowed to be. And when it hits, only the warriors will be ready. Until then, stay sharp, stay silent, stay sovereign. We rise unseen, and when we strike, the world won't know what hit it.